It's kind of wild with the different discussions with the PS5 Pro. I didn't expect everyone to really chime in with their opinions and how we're kind of stuck on this topic for, I don't know, who knows how long. I know like this is still fresh news, and I'm pretty aware that this is the internet. Sometimes the internet kind of could hold some grudges here and there. But I found this discussion very interesting because everyone has like different perspectives on how Sony and PlayStation are marketing this Pro. Because honestly, coming into this, because I used to own a PS4 Pro, and we could talk about whether I made a bad decision or not. Back in the day, I did trade in my base PS4 for the PS4 Pro, so I think I bought the PS4 for like $200. So to me at that time, and as someone who enjoyed playing their PS4 and had so many games to play on there, I didn't mind the little performance boost that it would get. But comparing the PS4 Pro to the PS5 Pro, the PS5 Pro is a big difference compared to the PS4 Pro. It's just that before I saw all the news and the reveal trailer and the tech presentation of the PS5 Pro, I didn't expect the PS5 Pro to be like a PS6. I felt like a lot of people had high expectations coming into the PS5 Pro, thinking like they were gonna get something even crazier, right? And at the same time, I think it's understandable to have certain expectations of the PS5 Pro, considering we're in an era technology is always evolving and we're always seeing like crazier things each and every year with technology. But at the same time, as someone who has been part of PlayStation for a while already, and also personally owning the PS4 Pro, I didn't have like big high expectations. When I created my previous video a few nights ago, I was just pretty much venting out my frustrations throughout the past 4 years with the decisions that PlayStation has been doing, because the way that it's being treated now compared to the PS4 generation is completely different, because I felt the PlayStation 4 was focusing on games. Literally games. There were so many games to play on there and so many exclusives that were on there that you were able to play. There was a lot of deals that were happening. Like, PlayStation was just honestly the home for yourself when it comes to gaming. Now, when I come into the PS5 Pro, I feel, or the PS5 within this generation, I just feel like so many games are just trying to be Hollywood, or they seem so fixated on ray tracing and high fidelity realistic graphics, and I'm like, dude, it's not even about the game anymore. That's why I got frustrated when I was when I was talking about the PS5 Pro. But am I against it? No, not necessarily. Just like myself a decade ago when I bought the PS5 Pro, I think it's reasonable for yourself, if you love video games and you play a lot of your PS5, yeah, I think it's fine if you get the PS5 Pro. But there are also things that I have criticized that are just simply ridiculous, and some people don't mind it, and I think this is actually a big issue, is them not providing a disk drive. And I know a lot of people kind of downplay it and say like, well, Tim, like, this is the generation where everyone's buying digital. But it's like, okay, I understand that, but what about your customers, which is still a lot. There's still a lot of customers who own physical copies and have a PS5 that have the physical disk drive, right? So what about those consumers? So you're just alienating your consumers at that point? I have a shelf of PS4 physical copies and PS5 physical copies of many games, like, to play and put the disc in. But let's say that I purchase a PS5 Pro. I can't do that because I have to invest in another, like, almost, I think it's $80 here in the US. Like, I have to invest more money just to play my games. I think that's ridiculous. And then what's even, I didn't even like talk about this in my previous video because I didn't even realize it. I didn't know you had to buy the vertical stand. Like, that's actually insane. You have to buy the vertical stand as well? What, like, have we lost our minds and we're defending this? Come on, guys. That's what, like, I was kind of disappointed on hearing that. Like, I also had, like, comments too saying, like, yeah, of course it's gotta be expensive, the $700 price tag, because, you know, you get better hardware. Duh, I get that, but when you put all these cons on top of it, is it really worth to spend $700 to a console that you're barely gonna notice with graphic fidelity and like ray tracing? Like, I think what's really cool about the PS5 Pro is the AI upscaling that it has, but will it do that for all games? Like, the thing is, what I'm worried about, I don't know if this is true, but if that actually applies for all games on the platform, that would be amazing, but I doubt that, because the PS5 enhanced features that they showcase to us, they're only gonna be applied to games that enable it. Because a lot, I know, like, let's just say you have a bit of an older game, it's not gonna be upscaled or anything because there's no performance options to it, and that's one of the biggest issues with consoles, like, or also with the PS5, that I have been upset about. I'm pretty sure FF16 will have this in the future, but when I played FF16 last year and they only gave 2 performance options or graphics options, which is the performance mode and the graphics mode, neither of them were the best, because I didn't want to play 30 FPS with better resolution or better graphic fidelity, right, on a fast, high action packed game. And then when you put it on performance mode for 60 FPS, the game like downscales, and also it's unstable as well, you know, when you're exploring in that game. So there was no win-win when experiencing FF16, and thank God it's on PC now, and hopefully it will have it in the future, and the PS5 Pro just would not support it. I don't think that would happen. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how it was with the PS4 Pro. You weren't able to fully like use its performance because games were just locked on a certain performance. You couldn't go any better. And the thing is, with the PS5, one of the biggest issues right now is that a lot of the developers do not utilize VRR. That's like one of like the best features the PS5 Pro has. I mean, the PS5, the base PS5 has, but a lot of developers do not use it. That's why I wanted FF16 to really push it. Same with FF7 Rebirth. Those games would have much better reception to the public if they told everyone, like, hey, we'll have VRR on it. A lot of developers do not use it. Because I get it, the average consumer does not use VRR. They don't have like a 120 hertz monitor or TV, right? And they don't have a HDMI 2.1 cable in order for that to happen. But that's one of the biggest issues. No one is using these features that the PS5 has. And I think this is an issue within the industry. I don't know why. Maybe they just don't have the budget for optimization. There could be many reasons. I don't know why. But, you know, I would love to see more VRR in the future. It's even worse outside of the US, where other countries have to purchase a more of an overpriced deal, to the point where it's making people think and wanting to invest into a PC at that point. And that's insane, because when you invest into a PC, and by the way, it is completely worth it, because as someone who has invested into a PC back in 2020, once you have these things established and set up, gaming just gets much more accessible and easier, and easier on your wallet, because no one thinks about the console services where you have to pay Like, not only you have to deal with performance issues, right, or certain performances in the game, and or being locked away from certain video games because some certain games are just only on PC, right? But you also like to be online, you have to pay for online monthly. While you're on PC, it's free. So there's so many things to think about when it comes to this whole debacle of the PS5 Pro, right? People outside of the US, they would have to pay a lot, and I'm pretty sure people outside the US own physical copies as well. And then they would have to buy a disc drive, which is even more expensive outside the US. So they're spending over $100 with the PS5 Pro. And again, I don't know if certain like local game stores will help you trade in your base PS5 and get you a good deal for the PS5 Pro. But, you know, and I pray for that. I hope that happens, right? And that'll be actually worth it if that actually happens. If you trade in your PS5 to get like a better price on the PS5 Pro. I have a video that I want to like. Sorry, I've been kind of ranting, but I have a few videos I want to like just react to and share it with you guys. This is actually one of the realest videos that I've seen because this guy is really honest. And this is just a perspective, right, from a consumer, and that's why I like watching this video. I watched the whole thing because there was like interesting topics discussed, and I highly recommend you watch the whole thing. But we're just gonna watch like 12 minutes of it. Our guy, his name is I'll link his video. Our guy here is Omega Pro Plus. I don't know if this is his second channel or not. I have no idea. But he just talks about with his chat about how the PS5 Pro is a mistake. Let's see if you agree or disagree with him. I want to hear you guys' opinions about this. I also don't like reacting to other people's videos, by the way, because it takes away the views. I'm only showing this because, like, he makes good points. So we're going to react to it. And if he wants the video down, then I'll gladly take it down. I don't care. So if you're watching this, my guy, if you ever stumble upon this, let me know.
Yo, bruh, listen. I have a lot to say about this, and I'm going to say a lot about this. I have a lot of yapping to do. If you were here on yesterday's stream, we talked a little bit about the PS5 Pro because we knew that this was happening. We knew that this event was going to happen and that they were going to announce the PS5 Pro. And yesterday, I was on stream saying, yeah, I'm going to get one. I'm excited for one. And the main reason why I was excited for one is because I remember when I got the PS4 Pro, right? If you guys don't remember, I believe the PS4 Pro launched, I think it was like $100 more than a PlayStation 4. And it did provide quite a not substantial, but a nice boost in performance for games. I knew that bitch was gonna be $700. Saba, no the fuck you didn't. Please shut the fuck up. But regardless, you know, the PS4 Pro, you know, came out, and I ended up copping that. And
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. I mean, like I had a good lifespan with the PS4, so like I mean with the PS4 Pro, so I don't know how the PS4 would operate on the recent PS4 games, but in my honest opinion, I didn't think there was a big like performance like gap with the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. I could be wrong. Obviously, like the PS4 Pro is better, but would I say it was worth it? Nah.
And the main reason why is because, you know, I like playing, you know, the Sony exclusive games, and I liked playing them in the high frame rate modes, you know, 60 FPS performance mode and stuff like that. And a lot of the times, the only way to do that was on the PS4 Pro. It wasn't that much more than a regular PS4. And plus, at that point, the PS4 had been out for so long. And not only had the PS4 been out for so long, but we got quality out of the PS4 as well.
That's the biggest thing that people who never experienced the PS4 era, right? And they were just either on PC or maybe even Xbox. A lot of people don't know that. We were about the games, right? And that's what made us got the PS4 Pro, is because there were so many games available to us where we're able to push the performance even more with the console, because we wanted to play these games in its full potential in some sort of way. Because I remember the PS4 Pro had like the super sampling resolution, but it also had the boost mode. Sometimes the boost mode would like make certain games kind of act weird, so you would have to turn it off. I remember that. man, I'm getting nostalgic just talking about it. We had a library of games, and the reason why people are, even though like you may think the $700 price tag for the PS5 Pro is reasonable, you have to remember the other layers of what the consumer will go through, right? You have to pay for online. You have to think about their game library, and the fact that they're already gatekeeping yourself from playing your physical copies, like, because you would have to invest in $100 more from your PS4 games and your PS5 games. Because remember, your PS5 is backwards compatible with your PS4 games. So I think that's the biggest thing. Like, that's one of my biggest complaints I have right now with the PS5 Pro, other than developers or whoever being so fixated on realistic graphics and lighting.
Right. We got quality out of the PS4 as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, that first year or two was rough on the PlayStation 4. But after those first couple years, it started to hit. And I believe the biggest reason why...
See, and I didn't even play the Souls games. Like, I wasn't even there for Sekiro and Bloodborne. I wish I was, but I wasn't even there for that hype because I was busy playing other games.
The PlayStation 5 has not felt like that. Is Sony's own doing, right? Because all of their games need to be these big, massive AAA budget type releases. We don't really get that many games, okay?
That's what I'm saying. Like, games are no longer trying to be games. They're trying to be Hollywood.
A game that comes
I've been saying that. I was saying that in my other video.
PS4, you know, like Ragnarok, for example, maybe the best game on PlayStation 5. I would argue maybe FF16 is there, but FF16 is now on PC. But regardless, you know, for a time,
this is the only guy I know who's a FF16 stan online. I mean, I get it. Like, I did criticize FF16, but I still love the game to death, especially how it was it was basically Final Fantasy Devil May Cry, and I'm a big fan of DMC. Yeah, a lot of people online, man, they were kind of harsh on that game. I understand too, because it was very, very story driven, and it could be slow at times with the pacing of the story and like with the gameplay as well. Because it took a toll on me, but hey, I beat the game 2 times. I beat it on New Game and New Game Plus, and I played the DLC. Come on now.
It was exclusive. Ragnarok, best game on PS5. You can play that on PS4. Miles Morales, you can play on PS4. Right? The actual exclusive games, you got what? Last of Us 2 remastered. Like, okay. Spider-Man 2, solid game. FF16, solid game. I think that game, I don't think FF16 is really a console seller for most people, but, and you know, now you can just play it on PC. Demon Souls, right? Astrobot Now, which that one is actually valid.
See, it's crazy because the fact that he's already telling us like present games right now, I felt like I waited for these games forever. Within 4 years, this console has been kind of struggling. Again, we still have another 4 years, so we'll see how it's gonna be in the future, but like, I felt like he didn't even say a lot of big bangers on what he's listing right now.
But are you buying a console for Astrobot? Probably not. There's Rebirth, which Stellar Blade.
Yo, wait, what's wrong with Rebirth? My guy, what's wrong with Rebirth? You know, when I first heard him say that, yeah, what's the problem with Rebirth? Honestly, I thought about it. I think Rebirth should win Game of the Year simply because of you don't have big AAA games. Also, like, because you have to remember, Rebirth, you're able to free roam. You have good art style in that game. There's good combat, like good gameplay. There's a lot of things to do. I don't even think there's loading screens in that game. There's barely any loading screens unless you're going to a whole different area of the map, like if you're going inside a place or whatever. But like, there's probably only like 2 loading screens you're gonna see in that game total, and you're able to traverse through every single map without experiencing a loading screen. And the game is 100+ hours long. You don't typically have games like that. There's so many unique things about Rebirth that the industry just doesn't do anymore or doesn't bother to do. And I was very impressed with Rebirth, but I feel like it's not talked about a lot. But I wonder what his opinion is about Rebirth, if he liked it or not, or if the performance threw him off. Because I understand why people were thrown off with Rebirth was simply because it's a sequel and maybe some people already bought it and they were probably confused with the story since they came into the sequel. That's kind of on them at the same time. It's also because it's a sequel, so people are less inclined to buy it. That's why it's not talked about as much. And also the graphics and performance issues that it was going through. Because when you play on performance mode, it was just very blurry. I understand that a lot because I played on performance mode. But I got used to it over time. I also played on 1440p. I heard it's slightly better on 1440p. I think, for me, man, I would play that whole game again on the PS5 Pro. I'm not going to lie with you.
Rise of the Ronin. You know, there's not... Like, but the first few years of the PS4, okay?
I'm honestly kidding about playing the game again on the PS5 Pro. If I had the opportunity to, like, I would love to see Rebirth on the PS5 Pro. But dude, I'm not gonna spend like hella money again. I'm not gonna lie.
Bloodborne, to this day, one of the greatest, one of the best Soulsborne games, one of the best FromSoft games ever. Period. Right.
See, and I never even got to experience that
shit. Right. Uncharted 4. People consider that one to be the best.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big, like, very Hollywood story driven person when it comes to these games. So like games like Uncharted and even The Last of Us, because I usually even I love The Last of Us, but when it comes to gameplay, those games kind of lack for me. I think Uncharted is even more gameplay orientated compared to The Last of Us. The Last of Us 2 though focused a little bit more on gameplay compared to 1. I said this in my previous video. I feel like we're shifting away from what these games really are about, and then they're just really focusing on so much story where they're forgetting
the best
or
Uncharted
not even making the players play at all.
The first like 5 years or so. I think it came out a little after, but Death Stranding was right around that time, which again, I know a lot of people
see. Like I was surprised with Death Stranding. I did play Death Stranding, and I wasn't even like, I don't know. I was iffy on it because it was so different. But at the same time, it was an interesting concept. But would I replay? Is that the type of game to replay? Nah. But it's those really high art games for sure. It's just, I wonder how Death Stranding 2 will be.
Maybe don't like that game or whatever. But you had the first Marvel Spider-Man. You had Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a brand new IP that, even though it is mid, it is wildly successful, right? Like,
you know, it's so funny because, like, I thought I was tripping too about Horizon Zero Dawn. I bought the game back then when it first launched because I thought the game looked impressive. But when I played it, I was like, I don't know, the combat for me was not doing it. And I wasn't really into the story, but like I was really into the environment, the concepts, the art style, or the hyper realistic look it had, right? And I don't know, that game never clicked with me. And maybe, and again, it's not a maybe, it's most likely because the gameplay didn't really made me engage a lot. And also, I just wasn't into the story as well. I don't want to like rant. Let's just continue.
What do you have on the PS5 that is matching, you know, those first that first like 5 or so years of the PlayStation 4? You know, the first 5 years of the PlayStation 4 also had Persona fucking 5. I don't think
game changer. Back then, I haven't played any turn-based game in forever. I barely did any research on the Persona series. All I heard was, because it was 2017. I remember it clearly. I just got the Kingdom Hearts collection, the 2.8 collection, and then I was waiting on another release or I was waiting on what other game I could play during that year because like I was just getting kind of bored. I want to try something new with the current games that I was playing. So when I heard there was a new game called Persona, and then I just saw like an IGN review, I didn't really like, and I skimmed through that review. I was like, oh wow, this game looks really nice. I'll just check it out. And it has like turn-based combat. I haven't played that forever, so you know, good thing I was getting curious because if I didn't, bro, I I would have missed out on a lot. And Persona 5 literally changed my perspective again with turn-based RPGs. So good, man. My God. And it was on the PlayStation. You can only get it on the PlayStation.
That there's like no games on PlayStation 5. I think we've gotten some really great games that have come out, like stuff like Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, you know, a bunch of other bullshit or whatever. But like, there's nothing that's like that you like that's you could only. There's no like PS5 exclusive experiences. And the main reason why I bring this up is,
well, I feel like, I mean, he is right, but at the same time, our industry is evolving with not being as exclusive. And I think it's for the better, right? But at the same time, in a business standpoint, what can Sony do in order for people to still buy their consoles, right? There has to be another way other than doing all these exclusives, right? These timed exclusives. Like I said previously, and it's funny because some people have been talking about it. I see it online where they should have just done backwards compatibility. That would have been amazing. People would have gone crazy for it. And I would have too. And I would have been more tapped into the retro markets, trying to like get all the games that I used to have. Because there are days where I just miss playing older titles that are not accessible in modern consoles.
because obviously I've been saying that I think that the Xbox Series consoles are much better than the Sony consoles for years. You guys know me. I've been saying.
I don't want to disagree with him, but let's hear what he has to say because I forgot what he said here.
No games. But really, like, what experiences have you had on PS5 that feel special? Like, what experiences have you had on PS5 that's like, damn, I could have only got this on a PS5? The only one for me was FF16. So one experience out of, when the fuck did the PS5 come out? Did the PS5 come out in 2020? So the first 4 years, I've had one like great experience on it. Like, and probably it's probably gonna be two when I play Astrobot. So I'm gonna just go ahead and throw that in there. Two great experiences on PlayStation, right? Like Baldur's Gate was another generational experience. I played that on PC, right? Elden Ring, another generational experience. I played that on PC. So it's like, what?
And Elden Ring didn't even play as well. Its performance didn't. Again, they didn't utilize VRR or like the optimization. It wasn't the best. I think they fixed it because like when I replayed Elden Ring, it was fine, but the performance on that game wasn't the best on PlayStation either.
What did the PS5 really give me that I couldn't have gotten elsewhere, right? Because let's say I never had a PlayStation 5, the only game I missed out on was FF16. Like, would I have experienced FOMO with stuff like Rebirth? Oh, absolutely. I would have probably bought one for Rebirth regardless. I would have regretted that purchase, but I would have done it. Astrobot I have not played yet. That one I'll probably add onto there as well. What experiences did you really get, bruh? At the end of the day, if you were a big Spider-Man fan, you got Spider-Man 2. You got that for you, right? So you got like one great experience in 4 years. Like, are we being serious? Like, if the PlayStation 5 is your only console, then you've had plenty of great experiences. You've had Elden Ring, you've had Baldur's Gate, you've had, I'm trying to think of.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't have any other platforms, you might as well just, and you want more performances, right? If you want to push your games to the limit, then yeah, like I think it's reasonable for you to get the PS5 Pro.
Other AAA games that have come out that have been really good. I can't really think of anything besides those.
Majority of you, I assume, have like you guys could lean on to other platforms because you have a Switch. You could access like other games on there. You may have a PC. You may have an Xbox, right? You may have these alternatives.
Those two. But whatever other AAA or third-party games that have come out, right? Like, you've gotten all of that, right? Like, great experiences for sure. If you would have gotten a PC, or if you don't like PC, if you would have gotten an Xbox, you really wouldn't have missed out on anything. And in fact, I would say you would have had a better experience on Xbox, because what I'm saying with Xbox is that there are a lot of features that Xbox has that the PlayStation does not. The Xbox launched with 1440p support, which a lot of people that play on monitors, you would have been able to have 1440p support out the gate. It took the PS5 like a year or so.
For anyone who owns an Xbox, like, would you need to have a HDMI 2.1 cable? Because I thought that was kind of dumb, but at the same time, like, I guess it was reasonable. Like, would you need that? That being a certain prerequisite for the PS5, I was like, come on, man. Because when I was searching for other like monitors, I had to worry if it had a HDMI 2.1, so that I could be able to play 1440p on my PS5.
So to get
Because
that,
they literally do not let you at all, even if your TV or monitor supports 1440p. If it doesn't have a 2.1 cable, you're kind of screwed.
you also have Xbox Game Pass, which everybody always talks about, everybody always yaps about.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay for Black Ops 6. Like, Black Ops 6 is going to be $70, right? And if I was only a PlayStation gamer, I just have to eat that, right?
That sucks.
I don't have to pay for Black Ops 6. I'm not going to have to pay for Avowed when that comes out. I'm not going to have to pay for that shitty-ass Indiana Jones game or whatever. You know, I'm not going to have to pay for none of that, right? I mean, you do pay for it with Game Pass, but regardless, like...
Game Pass, you spend basically your lunch. It's like 10 to 15, or 11 or 12 to $20, depending what tier you get. Like, shout out to Game Pass. I wouldn't even played Persona 3 Reload. Game Pass honestly helps me like lets me add more experiences throughout my year. Again, I would not experience P3 Reload without Game Pass, because I was so stacked on buying games already on my PS5, and especially that same month Rebirth was coming out, and I just didn't want to spend a lot of money because these games are expensive. They're $70. So, you know, shout out to Game Pass, where I beat in Persona 3 Reload within a month for like $12.
Going, and that's what I'm talking about right now. I do think that, you know, Game Pass could change in the future and become harmful in the future, but it's not yet. So I'm talking.
It is actually harmful to developers. That's another issue. It's very pro consumer, but it hurts the developers, since I think they don't get paid a lot when their game immediately goes on Game Pass. So that's an issue.
Talking about the experience.
And you know, motherfuckers have to be paid. And if they don't, they're most likely just gonna quit. You know, they're gonna leave. They're gonna go somewhere else. Because I would, bro. If I'm not getting paid for my work, or like if the payoff is not there, like, dude, how far can I do this? You have to think about like other people's perspectives. Yes, Game Pass is good for consumers, but for the other end, that the people that actually make our games, it's unfortunate.
Right now, right? You didn't have to pay for Persona 3 Reload as well. That is another one.
He just said that. I forgot he said that.
The entire Yakuza series on Xbox Series X.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. The thing is,
and all that, right?
Dude, the Yakuza series, they take forever to beat. I mean, if he didn't mind subbing monthly, like, that's fine. But though, like, that's amazing. That is amazing. Like, you get your money's worth on playing that.
Right? And then Xbox also goes a step further, right? Backwards compatibility. Like, backwards compatibility is one of those things that a lot of people on the internet try to pretend like they don't care about. But if Sony had announced that you could put a PS1 disc or a PS2 disc
that's what I'm trying to say,
into your PlayStation 5 Pro last night or this morning, people would have lost their fucking minds if you could have done that. Because
like,
Sony has such a rich history,
has
such a rich catalog of video games, right?
So
that you would have been able to experience. The Xbox Series consoles have been building on that backwards compatibility thing for years now. And now there's games that you can play that came out on the 360, that came out on the original Xbox, that get upscaled to 4K 60 FPS. And it looks great. It looks like...
See? Like, why can't we have these things for PlayStation? PlayStation, yeah, like what he said, PlayStation has a whole history of so many games from the past, and a lot of people have been begging to play their old games, because, like, I'm pretty sure their old games, if they kept it, it's just collecting dust, and they want to, like, play them again. It's insane. It's insane, like, how you can't... I don't know, like, for PlayStation, ironically, being focused about gaming, right? Like they focus about always playing the goddamn console, and it's in its name, PlayStation. They don't want you to play their older games. I think the PS5 Pro will sell like hotcakes if it did have that. That was Sony's opportunity for them to have that, but instead they're like, nah, it's not requested enough. I guess, I don't know, or they just didn't want to do it because of business reasons.
Like how you would...
Like that's insane. Like Xbox people are able to play these older games that were capped on 30 FPS on a certain resolution and didn't see the game on its full, would you say at its full potential, to now being upscaled, right, in resolution and frame rate. That's insane. Like that's insane. Imagine if the PS5 did that, not just with like older titles, but like with their actual game library. If they actually did that with their game library, I think I wouldn't trip about it, because then that means you get to see different performances on or different graphic settings on your other games, right? But no, you're just locked to whatever that game is dealing with. Oh man. See, like that's what makes me want to get an Xbox, just so I could like play older titles. Like I seen clips of Sonic Unleashed. That's one of my favorite Sonic games of all time. Seeing the game upscaled and played on 60 FPS on Xbox, it was always locked on 30 FPS, I think, back then. Because the game looks very beautiful. I love its art style. I love the courses there, its environments, like the maps in there. The game looked beautiful all around. It was like another Sonic adventure. The fact that Sega never bothered to remaster and port over like these games, these gems that they had, it's a shame. Like they never bothered to do all this. No remaster, no nothing. That's why game preservation is so important, because there are situations like this where you want to re-experience these sort of games. But you can't, because there's a lot of gatekeeping happening, or they just don't want to do it, or because of business reasons. I don't know. We'll never know.
Run it on like an emulator, but you're running it off the real disc on a real console. And not to mention,
yeah, it's like it feels more organic like that, right?
Xbox still has a disk drive. It bothers me in the same way that like the niggas that be talking about iPhone bothers me. Like, you really don't see anything wrong with being a slave to a company. Like, you don't see nothing wrong with that. Like, you really don't mind that Sony controls every aspect of your favorite hobby. You don't care about that at all. Like, you don't care that you just signed up to be Team PlayStation and you just dick ride. Like, you don't give a shit. Like, not even a little bit. Like, so you're gonna go out and buy this PS5 Pro, which, by the way, they made all of these promises with the PS5 Pro, 45%.
I think backwards compatibility is a great feature that a small percentage actually uses. Even if there's a small percentage of people using certain features, I think they should always be there, because you just never know at this point. Who would have known that a lot of the games that we played when we were younger are no longer able to play on these modern consoles, and just because these companies, they don't want to remaster, they don't want to port over, they don't want to do anything with them. They just want to leave them like on the shelf, covered in dust and everything. So that's why like these features really matter, because even if a small percentage uses it and it doesn't make the company want to be inclined to add these features, they should. They should have these certain services, or not services, again, these things for the console.
A faster frame generation.
Like, it's good that the PS5 has VRR, so developers could utilize the VRR for optimization in the future, because we clearly know that certain games just don't run as good. So it would be nice if VRR could help that optimization for people who have access to VRR, of course.
Or rendering, whatever the fuck they said. You're going to be able, like, all the PS5 games that you have to choose between fidelity or performance mode, you're going to be able to play the fidelity mode of the game, but then also run it at 60 FPS rate. All of these promises. But you know what the fucked up part is? When the PS5 launched, They were and the I'm pressing Microsoft on this too, because Xbox said this as well. They said the new baseline will be 4K 60.
Yeah. You see, no, that's what I mean. Like it's ridiculous how I don't know. Like I don't know what's going behind the scenes, but put more budget and optimization. Period. That's it. Like games don't have to be 4K. They could be 1440 or like they could be dynamic resolution to 4K or whatever. Honestly, who really cares about 4K gaming? Like actual gamers that be playing their games, they don't no one cares about 4K. Am I tripping? I mean, I heard 4K gaming is actually really really good. It's really nice to see the game at its best resolution and seeing how graphically like your favorite games are. But bro, like to me, as long as the game is fun, I don't need 4K to have a good experience.
Said that is what we should come to.
What I need, what I need though, is better frame rate in games, because it's hard for me personally. I talked about this before, where certain games, especially with motion blur on, especially if they're on 30 FPS and it's an unstable 30, I actually get like a headache when I play on lower frame rate, especially if these action games are utilizing 30 FPS, and then sometimes it's unstable and then they put on motion blur, they just slap it on. Like I get kind of a headache just seeing 30 FPS. Like it messes with me. So it's so nice to see games on 60 FPS. I know there's a conversation where developers say like there's no need for 60 FPS. I feel like there is. There needs to be for people for people like me. It's like an accessibility issue in a way, because if you put the game on 30 and then it's an action game, right? Bruh, like there's so much stuff happening on screen, and then it's like I just end up having a headache, or like my eyes start to hurt. Like that happened with me with one of the Yakuza games. They just slapped on motion blur, put 30 FPS since the game couldn't run on 60, and then bro, every time I was turning and moving around the city while I was exploring, I kind of got a minor headache, or my eyes were hurting. It was messing with my eyes. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even trying to be dramatic about it, because I'm not even the type to like get like a headache from visuals. I really don't. It was so weird at that time. Happened to me with Borderlands as well. Borderlands 3. Like my eyes started to act weird.
Expect for this generation, right?
So it's important. Optimization is important with the frame rate. Like people say we don't need it, bro. I think we do.
Starfield launched
like
30
when
FPS.
it comes to
Avowed,
performance,
gonna be 30 FPS. Dragon's Dogma 30 FPS.
Yep.
Final Fantasy 16 and Rebirth ran like complete and utter dog shit. If you played in performance mode, you're playing with blurry ass fucking 720p looking ass graphics, barely struggling to hit 45 FPS. Inexcusable off of what was promised to us. Now these
I don't know about that. What was it? I don't remember my experience on lagging with the performance on Rebirth. Oh my bad. I didn't mean to pause it on there. I didn't mean like, I don't know. I never had a problem with the performance mode other than its visual of it being blurry. I don't know.
We see Horizon Forbidden West. We see God of War Ragnarok. You know, we see these games that run great, run beautifully, are amazing or whatever, but that's not the whole case. And another thing that I feel like people are really not taking into account as well, you have to understand something, right? The PS5 having all of this power to render graphics and to render games in this way, like this is only going to make the games industry worse. Do you realize this? Games are already 4, 5, 6 year development times. Concord, 8-year development times. We're talking.
Is that actually true? Was it really in 8 years of development, or was half of the years were in like production, like pre-production or something? I don't want to say it was made in 8 years, because a lot of people say that, for example, Versus 13 was made basically in like, or basically FF15 was made in 10 years, but technically it wasn't. It gone through so many stages of production where they ended up like switching teams and everything. But people say like, yes, technically you could say yeah, it's been in 10 years, but FF15 was made by like a whole different like team.
Hundreds of millions of dollars of a budget towards a AAA release. This is wildly unsustainable, and the more that developers and publishers push for shit like this, the worse this issue is going to get. We got God of War 1 and 2 on the same console. We got Devil May Cry 1, 2, 3 on the same console. We got like 65 Ratchet and Clank games on the same console. We got 3 Crash Bandicoot games on the PS1. This is what...
See, like, that's what I'm saying too. That's what I'm saying too, man. Like, bro, Rockstar, no one even knows this. It's crazy because everyone is like, they weren't there when Rockstar was actually making video games. There was Midnight Club, there was Bully, then you had these GTA games. Bro, Rockstar in the 2000s were killing it. And then when the 2010s hit, like, dude, where is Rockstar? And then they spent like what, 8 years of RDR2, many years of RDR2, and then, you know, for the game, I don't know. I don't want to say much. I need to play it. So, but I mean, like, it's just crazy. 8 years for a game that just focuses on realism. There is some criticism with RDR2 how it plays way too realistic than an actual video game. Again, controversial, but let me know how you feel about RDR2. I still have to play it. I still want to play it as well, but because it's Red Dead Redemption. I love Red Dead 1. I enjoyed playing that. Red Dead Redemption 1. Played it a whole ton, including the multiplayer, but I wonder how big of a change RDR2 went through.
What we used to be able to get. Now we get one fucking title per generation. We will be lucky if the next God of War game comes out on the PS5.
Full Metal Alchemist.
The fact of the matter is that the next God of War game is probably a PS6 title. Like, this is where video games are going. The next FF7 part, that one might come out on PS5. It looks like they figured their shit out and they're getting the ball rolling on that. But that shit might be PS6. And this shit that's happening in the video game industry is permeating across all forms of media, right?
Again, the reason why I praise FF7 a lot is because how can you even make a big game like Rebirth that looks like it? Yes, the optimization of the game, it's bad. We can all admit that. But the content of the game and what it provides with story, gameplay loop, you know, like the side content and everything, exploration, maps, whatever you name them, dude, that's 100 plus hours. 100 plus hours. And they got that done within 4 years. Or maybe even 3. I think I read it was Kitase said 3 or something. And then the last year was trying to like polish it. Like how? You know? And I don't think, like, there are problems with Rebirth that I have when it comes to gameplay balancing and how certain fights go. But overall, like, even if it seemed rushed, that game was so solid for what it was. God damn. And the fact that, like, they may get this done again within 4 years is insane. So, I don't know. I feel like I get the point that he's trying to make, but I think there's also other things that you would have to, like understand the context of. So, again, not trying to, like, I'm not, man, this video really makes me look like I'm a Rebirth stan, honestly.
Like,
I just played Black Myth Wukong, all right, and I just said that would be game of the year as well, all right.
There's a big talking point right now with, like, TV shows.
But yes, like, he makes valid points. Game development is just way too long, and it's because of, like, how everything is just so, like, to me, everything's so hyper fixated on, like, realistic graphics or trying to make a game a certain standard and trying to make it all Hollywood and everything. I keep saying that, but
for example, TV,
it's just, dude, we don't focus on the actual games itself. That's why I think Capcom is really on it. Capcom is really on it because they make all these titles throughout the same generation. And even though you could debate like, oh, they only make 10-hour games, but dude, these games are so fun. They're really fun. They have replay value. Like, they know their niche and know how to work out throughout the industry and like how they could produce better.
TV shows taking 3-4 years in between seasons. Like, this is insane. This is unsustainable. Like, now when a new season of a show comes out, I gotta rewatch the season that came before it because I don't remember what the fuck happened. This shit was 3 years ago. Bro, when
See, and ironically, right? Like, ironically, when you're trying to play a game, that's how it be. When I got into God of War Ragnarok, I kind of needed a recap as well. Last game it came out was it 2018? Yeah, it was like 2018, or 2017 around that time. So it's like when Ragnarok came out, it's like, oh, okay, what happened again?
when God of War,
oh, you just mentioned
God
that.
of War game comes out, bro, I might not even be a streamer anymore. Alice, Ratchet and Clank: Rift Apart, and Spider-Man 2 on the same console, like, they're the anomaly. Like, I don't understand how they fucking do it. I'm gonna be honest. I really don't get that shit.
No, I've been saying that too. Insomniac Games, I completely forgot. Capcom and also Insomniac Games. Insomniac has been crazy too. The reason why, again, Insomniac Games, like, they don't make long games. So that's why, like, they're able to produce these games kind of back to back. Ratchet and Clank is like, what, 10 hours, but it's really fun and you can replay the game again like multiple times. Same with Spider-Man, the Insomniac titles, like with Spider-Man. And then I think they recently had like a new Game Plus update, and the game is also about 20 hours. They're not very long to go through. But what's crazy is that the games look fine, they're polished, and the game is very detailed overall, like with animations, fidelity, graphic fidelity, even the combat. Like, the combat is fun. Like, and that's what's really important. With Insomniac Games, they still think about making fun gameplay, and that's what I really love. Like, when I play Ratchet and Clank, it's still that same experience, like, of what you would like experience from the 2000s. And then when I play Spider-Man games, like, it's just the combat is really fun, and also the web swing and everything. Like, they got it down. And like what he said, it's insane on how they do this. It's like as if they have black magic. They just make it happen somehow.
I don't get how that's possible, but regardless, they're able to do it. But every other AAA developer, like, we are waiting. Like, what is the next Naughty Dog game?
But yeah, like, that's the thing too. I think there's issues within the industry, right? Like, we talk about the bad performances from 16 and FF7 Rebirth, but I think they just maybe didn't have the budget for for optimizing the game properly. They just also didn't have, like, maybe a team for that, right? Compared to Insomniac, which is like a first party IP where Sony's able to, like, kind of cash in on that IP, especially it's a Marvel game. Like, they want to take their partnership seriously with Marvel. So yeah, they're gonna cash out their first party IPs because that's what represents them compared to the third party IPs, even though they are sort of represented as a first party IP like Rebirth or Final Fantasy 16. Because why did if you look at it like this, look at all the Western PlayStation games, first party IPs that have really good performances. God of War Ragnarok, right? Because you could play that with VRR. Same with Spider-Man, you could play that with VRR. Ghost of Tsushima, I'm not sure, but that game run like a dream no matter what console you were in, PS4 and PS5. Even on 30 FPS, I didn't have a problem with it when I first played it in 2020 on my PS4 Pro. I don't know what other IPs, like, yeah, maybe even The Last of Us, right? I haven't really played The Last of Us recently, so I don't want to, like, speak too much about its performance. But yeah, there's certain contexts, when it comes to situations like this. But in the end of the day, like, I want studios to push more for optimization and more options on your graphic settings, your visuals, everything.
They have been writing on The Last of Us 2 since... When did The Last of Us 2 come out? In 2020. It's been 4 years. It's been 4 years.
God damn.
Since The Last of Us 2. And since then, they have given us The Last of Us 2 remastered.
Like, that's what I also don't like about this generation. We're so fixated with remakes and remasters. Naughty Dog, bro. Like, I was so upset hearing their announcements with, oh, Tilu 2 remaster, and then they made like and then obviously Tilu 1 remake, which I don't even know anymore, man. I understand about the Tilu 1 remake, I guess. They could have just done like simple upgrades to Tilu 2, and like they went above and beyond for both of those games. Like Tilu 1 didn't even need a remake. Like the PS4 remaster was already fine. And then Tilu 2, it didn't even need like another remaster. Like, yeah, maybe just a PS5 upgrade if it didn't ran like 60 FPS or whatever on if you had the PS4 title, but like. And then recently their live service game for The Last of Us, their multiplayer game, I think it was about to be live service, but yeah, it got canceled, and all those resources, all that money is just wasted, and also like wasted time, where they're not able to just create newer games. Instead, they were like, hey, remaster this, remaster that. We haven't seen any new games throughout the past decade. Like, no new IPs. We haven't even seen anything Uncharted as well.
The Last of Us Part 1 remastered as well. How could I forget? I don't think this console generation pushed the bar that high with games so far, because most of the games also come out on a 10-year-old console. The reason why the games are still coming out on PS4 and on previous gen consoles is because they need to, for profit's sake, right? If they release a game only on a PlayStation 5, if they release it only on the PlayStation 5, that is dwindling their base. That is dwindling the amount of people that could potentially buy this game. And the games are having such high budgets, they can't really afford to do that, right? Another thing that people have been talking about as well, the Sony PlayStation 3 released in 2006 for a whopping $600.
So I've seen that. I've seen posts about that. How, yeah, it was one of the most expensive consoles. I think that was like the high tier though. That was the high tier PS3 to purchase. But I think what made that price worth it is because you didn't have to pay for online. And at that time, the Xbox 360, you would have to already pay for Xbox Live. I remember because I owned a 360, and it would suck as a young guy, man, just a young kid, seeing my 360 membership expire after those 3 months, or maybe like after 1 month, depending on the situation. It would suck because I love to play all these online games like Call of Duty or whatever, or even Halo, just to see it expire. And it's like, damn, I have to spend another like $20 or so on membership. While the PS3, you didn't have to pay for online, and then it had backwards compatibility, and then you still had like I think a decent library on the PS3, right?
Damn. And that was enough at that time to almost bury Sony. We're talking about the Sony that made the PS1.
Well, we're looking back at it now. It's not as bad, because here we are now begging for backwards compatibility. We're down bad here, bro.
I made the PS2. Some of the best moments, some of the best games ever made.
Yeah, someone said in chat, $600 in 2006 money, by the way. Yeah, that's a lot.
If you were to adjust for inflation and take into consideration what the PS3 released at in 2000.
Someone said that's $800 in today's money. That's, yeah, I would agree to that too.
At $600, and compare that to the PlayStation 5 Pro at, $700, $80 if you want the disc drive, and $20 if you want the fucking vertical stand as well. By the way, the stand that came with the PS5 originally, the thing that they spent like 5 cents on plastic to make, yeah, $20 for that, sold separately, of course. We're looking the PS5
Wait, it's actually $20? That's actually insane, bro. Wait, how much is this then? How much is this, bro? It's $30. $30 on the official site. This is actually shameless, bro. No, they lost their goddamn mind on this. Dude, I'm being flashbang right now. Bro, yeah, if he knew if this was $30, bro, he's gonna go wild just hearing that. That's even worse. It's not even 20, it's 30. What?
Pro is more expensive than the PS3. The main difference between the two is that you can still just buy a PS5. Like, you don't really have to buy a PS5 Pro, whereas the PS3 was obviously the only option. It was their console, right? Like, so it's not really an apples to apples comparison, but it's like, I think this just goes to show how out of touch Sony is. Because like, where is their head at with this console? The games that they showed, The Last of Us 2, which already looks like phenomenal, Horizon Forbidden West, which already looks phenomenal. The only thing that like made me be like, wow, was when they showed Rebirth, because FF7 Rebirth looked fucking awful on the PlayStation 5, and then when I saw what it looked like on the Pro, I was like, wow, that actually looks a lot better.
I don't know, man. I Bro, I don't know. Like, no, he was cooking, right? Like, who's gonna notice like the high details, like the very detailed stuff, like in the game, right? That's why I say like just focus on art style and the gameplay. But I don't know. I saw Rebirth, dude. I would have to like see it in person to like really see the difference. I spent countless hours on that goddamn game. I don't know. I did not see the difference when they showcased. Was there actually a showcase video? Like, or is he just talking about like based off the trailer? I don't know. That wasn't a big difference, dude. I don't know. I don't know about that, but I agree what you're saying.
But is that $700 better? A YouTuber I watched said if you buy the PS5 Pro plus the stand and disk drive, you're spending about $1,000. It's probably closer to like 900 or so with tax and shit like that. But that's not even to go into other regions. Like the $700 price.
But all right, we ended up watching like 17 minutes of his video, so I appreciate Omega Plus. So remember, like, to drop a like and subscribe to his channel because he was speaking a lot of facts about this. He was just being brutally honest, and I really appreciate that a lot. Like, this is a solid video, and it gets even better like throughout the video because I already watched this. It's an interesting video to watch. I highly recommend you check it out. It just gives a perspective, and I just feel like when you keep buying overpriced things from corporations, they will have more incentive to do so, and you never want that. You never want these especially with the decisions like PlayStation has been making, man. It's been like a tough generation as of now. I'm not gonna lie. Like, good quality console and has a good library. Recent games that have been released. It's very subjective, you could say. Let's go on to Digital Foundry and see what they got to say about the PS5 Pro. I know they're currently like reviewing it. I may make like a follow-up video to that, reacting to their like review, or maybe even just talking about it. I don't really want to react because I don't want to take away views or anything. But anyway, here we are. Let's see what they got to say. This is only like 11-minute video, but I don't think we're going to be watching everything.
So I guess Sony looked at PlayStation 5 selling for €700 plus for over 2 years on eBay and figured they could make that official. I've been on record for expecting a high price. Mr. Burns has been on the record. But €799 without a disc drive wasn't even on my card. But is that just a market reality? I'm actually inclined to think they will find an audience for it, given the first 2 years of PlayStation 5. I think one of the sort of mitigating factors for that first 2 years is that we were essentially locked up in our own homes and needed things to do and were willing to pay extreme prices to do those things. So I'm not sure we can sort of look at that as a sort of indicator. I do think, however, that consumer electronics are going up in price generally.
Yeah,
Phones,
That's true.
Phones
That's
are,
definitely true.
thousand flagship phones, $1,000
I think even
upwards.
like even the PC GPUs are raising a bit more than usual. Already people were doing comparisons with the PS5 Pro saying how if you want something similar for your PC that is similar to the PS5 Pro, like it would be the Nvidia 4070. I have the 4070 Super, and apparently like the base 4070 was about like 500. Oh damn, they never like dropped the price yet. That's kind of insane because that's just one part. You need the other parts that another few $100 like to build your PC. So that's one part. $500, like sheesh.
Typically, they probably will find an audience for this. The question is whether they can actually justify it. What's the difference between a PS5 Pro and a PS5? There's going to be a bit of extra memory in there. I'd assume the cooling has to be better. And the key price is going to the key increase is obviously going to be the size of the chip. But all the evidence is pointing to an existing relatively cheap process node now. So I have to admit I was expecting 599 with a haircut to the price of the base unit. Doesn't look as though that's happening.
Yep, $100 more.
I'm going to go to you first on this one. It's kind of staggering, isn't it?
yeah. No, we're in a weird age because I think there is this man. You look at consoles, the history of consoles, and I think people generally expect them to
See, like that's what I said in my previous video. Like we're just in a weird time right now with gaming. So it's really gonna be interesting how the console market will be for next generation. Or like if everyone's just gonna start shifting onto PC and it's just like, okay, will game developers start making games and prioritizing PC optimization over consoles or what? Like what is gonna like happen? I don't think that's gonna happen, but that would be crazy if that did. Or if the consoles will just start being powerful off the rip when they release on their launch day.
going to sit within a fairly narrow price window. We actually saw that creep up a bit during the HD era. Before that, things were typically 300 or less, and then obviously, there was the PS3 situation with 599, but that came down pretty quick.
Wow,
And then
yeah.
we had
I was just thinking, actually, Kaz, here I am, the $599 debacle.
Oh yeah,
And here we are.
Here we are.
blew the doors off that. Absolutely. But at the same time, like you said, like electronics in general are like becoming extremely expensive. Like think about when the iPhone was first around and people were balking at the price, but now it's like, oh, you want the Pro model with just like the lower storage, it's like $1,500, right?
With Apple, like I don't know. I'm more of like a functional guy, and I hate when the iPhone does that. Like I get it, your iPhone services I think are good, but their pricing it's questionable most of the time.
Flagship phones from other companies, same price range. People upgrade these things every year. GPU prices, look where they're at compared to where they used to be. Like the days of the 1080 are long gone, and even that, that was good enough for the time, but even that felt expensive, you could argue.
Oh, yeah.
But now, like GPU prices are like way higher. Like everything is much higher. And based on what Microsoft told us back when we saw the Series X and Series S reveal, it's like just the cost of things at this point. Like it all makes sense why the price is so high. It's just that in this space, it's traditionally stayed within sort of a price ceiling, and every time they've tried to push out of that ceiling, it's been met with negativity, right? It seems more shocking than in other product categories, and I think that's why the sticker shock is there. But I feel like the US price is just like borderline okay somehow.
Yeah, see, I agree with that too. It's okay, but there's so many other layers to the situation when you own a console compared to when you own a PC. You're gonna be paying a lot for the PC, but then once everything's over with, dude, like you get free online, you have access to majority of the games. I mean, obviously, I mean, nowadays. I mean, back then, PC had a. It sucked to own a PC at some moments because you didn't enjoy the console exclusives, but we're at that day and age where it's different now. So, like, when you own a PC, you get a lot of benefits, right? You get to control your performance, your graphic settings. There are other things such as mods to do, and there's life quality mods to put in and install. You have access to a lot of games. There's all these things that you could think of that PC can do compared to console.
But man, when you look at that Euro price or the Japanese price, it's just like when it's like, okay, if you want to get a PS5 Pro in Europe with the disc drive, you're looking at like 920 euros. So that's a lot, man. That is a lot. That is a huge jump.
It's crazy because on my shorts, people were commenting like, "Hey, you pay for what you get since it's better hardware," but they're even saying it themselves. But we'll see, once they actually get their full review on. And I know Rebirth is one of their main games that they're gonna review with the PS5 Pro, since obviously like that game had rough graphics issues. Also on Twitter, John was talking about how he's reviewing Rebirth, and it looks really well. It looks really good on the PS5 Pro compared to the base PS5. Like, there's an actual big difference, which we have to see. So again, in the trailer, they didn't show like actual gameplay of Rebirth. They were only comparing Rebirth with cutscenes on the trailer. That was the only comparison you would have. So I would love to see the difference with the PS5 Pro compared to the base PS5 with Rebirth.
This is
because the cutscenes they literally look identical with each other with the PS5 Pro when they showcased it, compared to the base PS5.
Way beyond what we've seen in the console space. And I kind of wonder if this is kind of where we're heading in the future. Like, do you foresee $1,000 Xbox, for instance, next gen? Maybe.
See if they did that. Well, no, hell no. Actually, let's just say if consoles started at $700, right? But they give good hardware off the rip on launch day. Not even the Pro version, right? I don't even think there should be a Pro version. So they give us just good hardware off the rip for that generation, right? And would people feel more inclined to buy it, buy these consoles, considering how they will just run better overall with their games? Because there's also another side of things where you have to rely on the developer to make a good optimal game with its performance. And there's other factors too, is like, will you provide these graphic settings? Will you provide this, that? I wonder if people would do that, because I would maybe do that. Maybe. Again, there's still the issues that underlie these scenarios, like the paying online and all these other things that we deal with console. But if they were able to step away from that, yeah, I think I may buy it. Like, I would feel more inclined to buy one.
Maybe there'll be other options. Maybe
you just gotta be reasonable, right?
We're landing, and instead of this is like the opposite of the Series S, Series X, where we now have the base, like sort of a baseline, but then an upper tier. I don't know. I don't know, man. We're just in a weird spot right now with prices.
I was just reading some more supporter questions on the Patreon. Paul Calamata says, I hear all these people out here saying the PS5 Pro is expensive at $700, but Chad Warden wipes his ass with $700. Are all these people broke, or is the PS5 Pro pushing the limits of what's acceptable for console pricing?
Wow.
It's pushing the limits for sure, and I'm going to be really interested to see. I mean, every time somebody predicts doom for a new piece of consumer electronics, they kind of forget that they're initially available in limited quantities and always sell out. So I'm fully aware at this point that I think that the PS5 Pro is going to sell out simply, because they're limited numbers at launch.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's certainly going to be a test, I think, and that's fascinating.
We'll see if people are actually happy with the consoles.
Though. I think that $600 would have been a lot more palatable. I think for $700,
did he say it's not great?
$700 would have been a lot more palatable. Not great though. I think that $600 would have been a lot more palatable. I think for $700, I'm disappointed at the quality of the presentation. I think they could have done a whole lot more.
I think also that's one of the big issues too of what made this whole backlash and what made people sour is how things were presented. You didn't actually really show gameplay. You just kind of just showed still shots. Yeah, they showed Ratchet and Clank, but it's like they want to see like newer titles. It would be cool if they maybe show Black Myth Wukong on there, because that's basically a time exclusive. I mean, Rebirth is a time exclusive as well. I know like they have a special partnership with PlayStation. If they showed Rebirth gameplay on there, if they showed Black Myth Wukong, like just recent games that you would have, you would see in this generation. But another problem is that PlayStation doesn't really have recent games. Our recent games was FF16, Rebirth, and Black Myth Wukong. Those are like the main games I think about that are on PlayStation and that were time exclusives. And it would have been even more reasonable to showcase FF16, especially how it dealt with a lot of performance issues. Like I felt like FF16 ran worse compared to Rebirth, but you pick and choose. I got over the blurry quality on performance mode for Rebirth, but the unstable frame rate on performance mode while you're exploring around in FF16, it was like, come on, man. It was like it was such a beautiful game. Beautiful game, and had beautiful environments too. Perfect game to showcase on the PS5 Pro for the trailer, but they did not do that at all. Because like, does it even offer that? Does it offer like these certain things for PlayStation, for the PS5 Pro, or have they done it yet? They probably haven't, and that's why it wasn't showcased. That's what I assume. But hopefully in the near future, they get that up to date and actually utilize the PS5 Pro features. Because if they don't, that's insane. Like how they just can't work that out. Then considering how what they were advertising, you get a larger GPU, better ray tracing, and upscaling, AI upscaling.
Man, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, but
They're even saying it's crazy.
GPUs. I guess my question is, this kind of pricing, if it does move on to like PS6, it's surely not. But because the whole point of a console is a cheap, subsidized mainstream box. I don't think there's any level of subsidy going into the PS5 Pro at this price point.
No.
Yeah. Yes, what he's saying is true, but there's also gamers out there, even me. Let's say if I was still in the console market, I would want a PS5 Pro that is identical, that is good enough to run games well and see at its full potential. That's why I had the PS4 Pro back then, and that's why I traded in my base PS4 so I could just get that even that small boost that I probably didn't even notice. I just wanted to have a stable frame rate, push the game even more with its performance. So, and again, like a lot of people say, the Pro is not meant for the average consumer, but that's also very confusing because they make this as this is for the average consumer. Because I felt like they could have done more with other features than say, you get slightly better graphics and whatever. That you wouldn't really notice.
With a 5 at $500, I don't see $200 of additional costs in the Pro. I think there's probably making some money on that even. At the same time.
Also, if they say this is a console for the hardcore gamers, right? Then why take out the disc drive? Hardcore gamers have physical copies. Come on now. I'm sorry, I don't mean to alienate the actual gamers that play on digital, but come on, man. And then you're making them pay more. It's like punishment, right? It's like punishing your own consumers that they're not paying enough, apparently, even though they've been with you for the longest time, and now they have a whole legacy of your games on their shelf for you to not play them, or for you to pay more money, nearly $100 more. Sheesh, man.
Making some money on that even. At the same time, we have seen that as we just pointed out, GPU prices have gone up. I just wonder at this point whether it's just going to push more people towards the PC. Simply because, you aren't paying the monthly subscription fee. You don't need to pay that at all.
He said it.
If you want free games, you get them from Epic.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's another thing. I completely forgot. You go on PC, yeah, you get free games. Epic Games give free games. That's right. And they give literally free AAA games. I have Control. I have so many like good games. Bro, I even have Callisto Protocol for free. Right. I have Dragon Age on here apparently. I hella forgot. Deus Ex was for free. You have all these free games that you can get. I have like pages of them. I have Ghostwire Tokyo. Bro, insane. I have Outer Worlds. I didn't even know that. I hella forgot. Obviously, I knew I played Evil Within. I have my whole walkthrough on my other channel, so feel free to check it out. But you get what I'm saying. There's so many accessibility to games on PC compared to anywhere else because there's always a paywall that you have to go through, or there's just some sort of issue that you probably go on console. Yes, the console is useful if you just want a simplified experience, and I'm not against for anyone who wants to invest on these certain things because I believe that people should get into gaming, but there are definitely issues that you will pick up on that exist in the console market, and the PC market is just not there. There are other issues with PC things. Once you get the hang of it and you understand what's going on, you get over your problems. It's so like, I feel like it's just worth, man. So that's why I'm happy like PlayStation made it on Steam, because and just on PC in general. It's just because it's like I get to enjoy these games and even on a better GPU or just better in performance in general.
Cloud saves, everything is there on Steam.
But at the same time, like there are issues on PC. By the way, if you are new to PC and you're planning to PC gaming and you're planning to invest into PC, just be aware that you're gonna be dealing with issues with like optimization and other things, because sometimes like there are games that are just badly ported onto PC. Like when the Last of Us 1 remake came out, what was it, last year or a few years ago? It was like one of the worst ports ever. I don't know if they ever fixed it. I don't know if it runs good, but it was one of the worst ports to get.
And actually produced
It was just better to play that game on your PS5.
in a better form than I'd say any of the consoles. So
Right.
I am concerned that this is actually going to push people towards towards PCs.
Or towards just the regular PS5, or they'll wait for the Switch 2.
Well,
See,
there's a lot
that's
of
another thing. It's yeah, like the Switch 2 is coming soon. Like whenever they're gonna announce it, and who knows what Nintendo will pull off. Nintendo. I got a soft spot for Nintendo despite like their decisions as well on certain things, but they are the innovators of the industry, and I'll be interested how their games will run. And they always make it a reasonable price, right? I know like they don't have the best performing consoles, but they make fun games, and that's why people go to Nintendo still to this day. They have many fun games.
people suggesting that the Switch
They have a
2
good
is gonna be
library.
like $500, which would be
Yeah, but I mean,
not
you
great,
know,
would it?
getting a decent gaming PC ain't cheap either, right? So
Well,
That's why I said like once you get that over with, worth.
I mean, I have seen some bargain forums with pre-built systems with an i5 and a 4060 for like £500, which I'd say that's actually really, really good value.
it is, but you know the kind of extra work it takes to get great performance out of that kind of machine, right?
Yeah,
For the 4060, yeah, but
The 4060,
yeah, I just feel
Optimize
like
settings, man.
yeah, coming to that value proposition thing, I think this is just kind of like the second level MacBook. Like this is like when they give you this choice, and the people who really love PlayStation are going to buy this. That's why Rich is saying it's going to sell out. It will.
Like yeah, the shows will buy it. It's gonna sell out. Damn, that's actually crazy. That's actually crazy.
Like the people who love PlayStation really, I think they're just going to buy it. But like when you think about like that utility of price, I do think it is entering a different category of consumer electronic at that price level, especially with the EU price level. Yes, you will probably never beat a console currently with the manufacturing stuff going on at its price point for raw performance in a game. But then when you enter this price class category, then you think, well, what if I instead invest the price I would have put into the disk drive into a PC, you know? And then you start getting into a different, I mean, €1,000 PC is actually pretty awesome.
No, I agree. It's
you know
just,
what I
like,
mean? So
PC's still
yeah.
a different thing in terms of, like, it still sucks in the living room. It is
Well,
usually
yeah.
See, here we go. This is a good discussion to hear. Cause yeah, why would you want your PC? Cause like it's nice to also see your game on like what your 70-inch TV that is on your smart TV that's 4K. It's nice to see games on that.
Yeah. I
but
mean,
it's not great
but
in the
that's
living
going to
room.
get addressed, isn't it? Sooner rather
That's
or
what
later.
that's what we've been talking about, right? And
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
that is exactly what happens.
I mean,
because
if Microsoft doesn't do it, Valve are going to do it. I mean, the work's essentially done, really. The Steam Deck OS would
absolutely.
translate perfectly to a desktop machine.
Steam has been interesting. Like I feel like people are sleeping on Steam. The fact that they made a home console that is also portable. I really want a Steam Deck, but I've been saving up money for other things, so yeah. Steam is interesting. I feel like people have forgot about Steam, so we'll see where Steam is going to be heading in the future. And if they're going to even bother making more consoles, because right now they're killing it with the Steam Deck.
mostly.
Mostly, yeah. But I don't think anybody really wants to create that desktop machine. They just want to make PCs work, and you just roll your own, or let ASUS or your friendly
Buy you one,
neighborhood
yeah.
PC builder make one instead. I think that's
Me.
probably the way forward in that regard. It's going to require a lot of work from PlayStation to keep that audience if the price is just going to continually go up. I mean, I suspect that 10th gen consoles no problem.
That's so difficult too on PlayStation's end, because how can you make games that utilize its hardware? Because we peaked so much in this generation with how, in a technological standpoint, where they rely on SSD, they rely on the GPU, the CPU of these consoles. You already see how crazy these games be looking and how they operate. Earlier, from what Omega Pro has said, how would the industry would be like? It's just unhealthy at that point. How would you keep innovating your own brand? How you keep progressing if you're trying to remain at a decent price point, a price tag? Because I think $700 isn't as crazy, right? For something that you could just set up easily and put in your living room and experience these good looking games on your TV. But again, the issue is what I said, like there's other layers to it, and then at the same time it caters, the problem is it caters to everybody than the actual people who enjoy video games. Like a lot of people who enjoy video games want something else, right? They don't care about graphics. Maybe they just care about like actual performance. I want stable frame rate, 60 FPS. I want to play on 100 FPS. There's so many things, man. I want these games, like me, I want these games to have just better art style than them making realistic graphics. And I also want them to create better gameplay mechanics than them creating a whole movie. There's just so many layers to this. I'm so curious how things are going to end up, because it is kind of worrying. I love video games, man, and PlayStation makes good video games too. All right, let's all remember that. This is the reason why we're all here.
Problem at all.
So it is gonna be wild to see the next generation and how it will go through with it.
Somehow they'll make it happen. But 11th gen and beyond, I'm really interested to see how they're going to be able to pull that off.
Well, there you have it. This is a long video. I did not expect myself to be talking and reacting about the PS5 Pro for nearly 2 hours. I just had my own podcast with myself, basically. Remember, drop a like and subscribe if you like these discussion videos, because I didn't expect all of this. It's just interesting times right now for like gaming. So I just thought these two videos would be interesting to share and put out and share my opinions, because you know, this is just a follow-up video to what people have like come up to me and said on these few videos I put. So if they do a review video for the PS5 Pro, I may look into it. I don't know if I'll do like a whole reaction, because I don't want to drag this on. Like, hopefully this is just the final video, but we'll see if anything comes up. Yeah, remember, drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the future. Peace off. Share your thoughts down below. Let's keep it civil. And all right, I'm out.